Is it possible that the length of a person's hair could have anything to do with pleasing God? Such an idea may at first seem strange, but before the question is dismissed, it would be wise to consider two statements of Scripture. If a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him. If a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for hair is given her for a covering. 1 Corinthians 11:14-15. God has chosen for the length of people's hair to symbolize their relationship to Him and to the authority He has placed over them. The truth is represented in I Corinthians 11:3-16. The subject of I Corinthians 11:13-16 is authority. The head of every man is Christ, and of the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Verse 3. This verse introduces and provides the basis for the following discussion about covering the head. Every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonoureth his head. Christ is man's head. It is therefore Christ who is dishonoured if man prays or prophesies with a covered head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoureth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. Verse 5. The man, husband or father, is the head of the woman, wife or daughter. It is therefore the man who is dishonoured if a woman prays or prophesies with uncovered head. This dishonour is the same as if her head were shaven. Not only is it a shame if the woman is shaven, but it is equally a shame if she is shorn. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to shorn or shaven, let her be covered. Verse 6. The word shorn is simply the past participle of shear, which means to cut. This is the meaning of the Greek word kairo, from which shorn is translated. These things are important even in the spiritual realm, is revealed in the next statement. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Verse 10. Angels are spirits. It is not just in the physical realm that the authority represented by the length of hair is important. Even angels take note of a person's obedience or disobedience in this matter. Angels, especially the seraphims, have 6 wings. 2 wings to cover their faces, 2 wings to cover their feet, and 2 wings to fly. Covering the seraphim's faces and feet symbolizes respect and subjection to authority and to the headship of God. The same thing applies with the woman's hair as a covering for respect. The inspired Apostle Paul believed the church at Corinth would naturally understand the validity of his teaching on this subject. Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Verse 13. He did not think this should be a surprise to Christians, for the lesson of a clear distinction between male and female in this matter is deeply rooted even in nature. Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have a long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have a long hair, it is glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. Verses 14-15. The words have long hair in these verses are translated from Greek word komao, which means to let the hair grow. The word hair in verse 15 in the phrase her hair is given her for a covering is translated from Greek kome, which refers to uncut hair. This further explains verse 6, which declares it to be a shame if a woman's hair is shorn, cut or shaven. Her long uncut hair is a glory to her, for it illustrates her loving submission to her husband or father. On the other hand, it is a shame for a man if he allows his hair to grow uncut. For a man to cut his hair reflects his submission to Christ. Uncut hair on a man symbolizes rebellion against Christ. The covering mentioned in this passage is the woman's uncut hair. Verse 15 is the only place the word covering as a noun appears in the passage. Previously, the words uncovered and covered appear. These 2 words are adjectives. They do not specifically declare what is the covering, but verse 15 specifically says, her hair is given her for a covering. The word for is translated from the Greek anti, which means against or instead of. Here the Bible itself declares that the woman's long, uncut hair is given to her instead of for a covering, and this is the inspired explanation of verses 5 and 6. Thus, if a woman cuts or shaves the hair on her head, it is in the eyes of God a shameful dishonour of her father or husband. If a man allows his hair to grow long, it is therefore a shameful dishonour of Christ. The passage concludes, but if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. Verse 16. Contention is always the result of pride. If any man proudly argued against this teaching, he needed to realize that none of the churches had a custom of allowing men to pray or prophesy with their heads covered with long, uncut hair. Nor did they permit women to pray or prophesy unless their heads were covered with long, uncut hair. In conclusion, a sincere person who wishes to please God will want to obey His word in every respect. He will partake of the bread and cup of the Lord's Supper with the greatest of reverence, because these symbols represent the body and blood of Christ. And a man will cut his hair, while a woman will allow hers to grow, because these symbols represent their relationship to God and to God-given authority. Don't forget to subscribe.